This is a story of how I went from getting millions of views on TikTok with $0 in my bank account to now having a video business that creates world-class commercial video campaigns for our clients. I didn't get to this point in business because I know how to make pretty videos. I got here because I took risks on myself and I failed hard in the process and learned from those failures. Since March 2024, we've helped 30 plus clients create strategic video campaigns that actually drive revenue. We've helped book out health and wellness retreats, driven hundreds of thousands of dollars to one of our marketing agency clients through meta ads, and we've even put together $15,000 plus brand story campaigns for nonprofits. So by society's terms, at a young age, I've seen some conventional success, but let's rewind a bit to see where that comes from. So I've always been a creative kid, and I loved learning. All kids are creative, and they are creative until somebody tells them that they're not. Unfortunately, that happened to me, and I had to go and reignite that creative spark that lived within me that also lives within you. I love to draw and make music and come up with games. At recess, I was the ringleader of those kids, and I also love to read, expanding my mind. There was a book fair in 4th grade. I remember I had to read a bunch of books to get ready for the book fair competition. It was called the Battle of the Books. I read 17 books, all basically to impress this girl that I had a crush on. And when the competition was over and I did real well, somebody told me that I tried too hard, that I was a nerd, that I read too many books, that was gay, reading was gay. And that's tough to shake when you're in the 4th grade and you don't have a high degree of emotional intelligence. So I carried that with me. I was nervous that I was gonna be a nerd for trying in school and I was gonna be gay for reading. And one comment like that at a young age ultimately shapes your entire psyche. So I started to drop the things that I love, the creative acts that were innately feminine. But when I got to high school, I started to reignite this passion, this spark. I loved videos. I loved making skits, and I loved pranking people and Snapchat videos, and I loved making surf edits and ski videos with my friends. And ultimately, my passion for videos took me onto the morning announcements in high school. I was the morning anchor, and we would create these funny opening skits that would play in the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. And I realized that I had a knack for this video production. I was able to make people laugh. I was able to make people feel emotions through the videos that I was creating. So I was popular in high school, and being on the morning announcements only made me more popular. I said, "Good morning, Brick Township High School," to the entire school every day. So everybody knew my face, but I didn't really fit in with the cool crowd. I was a bit eccentric. Like I said, I had all these creative hobbies that are kind of looked down upon in today's day and age, especially in high school when it's cool to like fit in with the crowd and scroll through your phone and get likes on Instagram. All I wanted to do was make videos. I didn't really care if other people liked them. I needed to like them. Therefore, as I was looking for colleges, I started to look at film schools and communications departments. Ultimately, I ended up at Monmouth University. So at college, I studied communications, I did the live sports broadcasts, and I also played football. And you know what happens in college? Is you start to find yourself. You start to lean into all of the things that you may have suppressed when you were younger and start to become yourself again. Or at least that's what happened to me. So freshman year, I started drawing again. I picked up a guitar, I learned how to play, I started meditating, and I dove into myself and what it meant to be Corey. So listening to myself made me passionate again about reading and learning. I started studying consciousness and spirituality, emotional intelligence, religion, philosophy, ancient history. These things were intriguing to me. So I dove into it head first, and some might call this an awakening. And I started to get lonely as I was doing all these things. I was creating again and I was learning again, but nobody really cared. Nobody wanted to listen. So I started to feel a bit lonely about it. And this brought me to the next phase of my college years. I started the TikTok account that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Originally, it was called 5D Warriors. We posted all about consciousness, spirituality, ancient history, and conspiracy theories. And we took off really quickly. We started getting tons of views, millions of views. We amassed 75,000 followers across our platforms on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And by all standards, I was successful in this endeavor. And the main reason I had started was to get people to listen to me, because I felt alone, and this feedback loop of all these people saying, "Wow, you're so great," felt good, but ultimately I couldn't even sell a t-shirt. I was getting millions of views, but I was making no money. Over the course of 2.5 years running that account, posting 2 times every day, I made less than $500. Look, I was frustrated. I was a college kid. I had $0 in my pocket, but it gave me an important realization that attention without intention is ultimately worthless. In May 2023, I graduated college, but I refused to get a real job. I just couldn't bring myself to sit under fluorescent lights and slave away for somebody else's dream when I knew I had my own. A couple months passed after graduation and I flew to Costa Rica with my girlfriend. We're staying for a month and the intention was to grow the TikTok page. But I came closer to myself and I surfed and I explored and I made videos, but I realized deep down that I was meant to do more. It wasn't just posting conspiracy theories online, it was providing real value to the world through film, through cinema, through video. I came home from Costa Rica back to New Jersey and I had less than $1,000 to my name. All I had was a Sony a7 II camera, didn't even film in 4K, and I had an idea to start creating videos for businesses. This brought me to Staples and I printed out business cards that called me a media expert. What did I know? I didn't know anything. I grew one account to 75,000 followers. Next thing you know, I'm at Staples printing out business cards that say media expert. I didn't know anything about growing a brand or media. I don't know who I was putting media expert on my business card. But I started bringing that business card to networking events, to Chamber of Commerce meetings. I was walking into local businesses, handing that card out, offering my services to pizza shops, coffee shops, vape shops, anything I saw on the side of the road, I was handing that business card out. I was in Facebook groups. I was messaging random people and I really didn't know what I was selling yet. Not to mention, I was charging next to nothing. If they had just asked me, I probably would do it for free. But I had a small win. I had been going through a Facebook group and I connected with my old elementary school gym teacher who was hosting local basketball clinics and he offered to pay me $500 to come and make him videos. To me, that money was just for camera gear, but he hit me back a couple weeks later and he said that those $500 videos we did ultimately booked him new clients, meaning he booked thousands of dollars in revenue from the videos that we made. This made a light bulb go off and I realized that I can make videos that drive real return on investment for businesses. However, I was struggling to build a real business. I was a freelancer, I had no real systems, and ultimately, I started looking for external help so I didn't have to figure it out on my own. And this brought me to a video production coaching community. And they brought me on a call, and the guy on the call, his name was Adam. Adam told me I was in a great spot, and with a couple little tweaks in my business, I could be hitting those $10,000 months. And that was the entire focus of the community. I was only doing 1.5K, 3K months thus far, and here's somebody telling me I can make $10,000 every month. But it costs $7,500 to get in. I only had $3,300 in my bank account. And I sat there with my hand shaking. And I looked at the account and I looked at Adam and I went silent for 10 minutes and I put the credit card down. And I emptied my savings account and I put the rest on credit and I said, well, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to get a real job. And I did not want a real job. But because I had the skin in the game, it forced me to buy in. I put everything that I had into that community. And ultimately, in 4 months, July 2024, I was already hitting $10,000 a month. I thought I had made it. This was the cream of the crop, the best I could get, but I had built a hustle, not a business. I was grinding, but I got comfortable. I started chasing that cool lifestyle, seeing the influencers, the creators, hanging out in foreign places, making videos for brands, and ultimately, I got invited down to Mexico to hang out with a bunch of those influencers and create content. So there I was, flying to Mexico to produce video at these health and wellness retreats with the influencers. I was working on my business at home. I started writing a book. I started sharing music. And then not to mention, I started posting video content on YouTube every single day. And my attention was just scattered in so many places. I was making noise. And a couple of the videos I made even blew up. But I was not focusing on the systems that grew our audience with the TikTok account, the systems that were creating measurable growth for the businesses that we were working with. And ultimately, I got humbled. In August 2024, we did $12,000, which was mind-boggling to me at the time. And then in January 2025, we only made $1,200. I felt like a fraud. I was the video creator, the media expert that couldn't even sustain his own business. I had all the gear, but I had no clients coming in. I was doing everything: filming, editing, marketing, sales, and I was getting burnt out and frustrated in the process. And I realized that cool videos don't grow a business. Strategically crafted video campaigns do. And honestly, I didn't have a strategy. I just had a camera and I could make cool videos. This brought me to the point of almost shutting down my business. I was ready to succumb and get a regular job, but I knew all I needed was a reset. So my girlfriend convinced me, and we bought a one-way ticket to Europe, and we ended up spending 7 weeks there during the summer of 2025. Before we left, we sent a ton of pitches to wellness brands to create cinematic and beautiful visuals as we traveled across Europe. So we got a couple sponsors, which was awesome. But while I was traveling and we were making content for those brands, I realized why I had started this business in the first place, because I loved videos. I loved making people laugh. I loved capturing beautiful scenery. I loved telling stories. And Deanna, my girlfriend, furthered this realization when she said, "You've just been selling videos." And I thought, I have just been selling videos. She said, "You have to sell video campaigns." And that sent a light bulb off in my head, fireworks in my mind. My clients didn't want videos, they wanted outcomes. They wanted more sales. They wanted to save time. They wanted people to trust them. They wanted to build a larger audience so that they could expand and grow and evolve themselves. So when I got home in September 2025, I stopped being a content creator, a freelancer, however you want to call it, and I became a campaign architect. I was determined to create these high-level video campaigns that actually work for our clients. And this happens with a 3-step framework. 1, we help them clarify their offer, clarify their messaging, and actually speak to the right people. 2 is creative. We take that offer, their message, and craft professional, institutional level video assets for them to launch and distribute across their platform. And 3 is sales. We want to work with them to distribute that content in the right places so that they can actually close business, because video is meant to be an investment, not a cost. And the result of this shift in mindset was monumental. By October, we did our biggest month to date, $16,000, and all it took was a simple shift in the position. We started working with New Jersey cannabis companies, jiu-jitsu gyms, the Boys and Girls Club, and roofing companies, all because we shifted our focus from pretty videos to strategically crafted video campaigns. I've mentioned revenue numbers in my success, but this isn't just about me. When our clients implement this system, they stop guessing. They stop relying on the random acts of content and the spray and pray marketing approach, and they get clarity, they get consistency, and they get their time back. The main lesson that I spent $20,000 on education and even more in credit card payments on camera gear to learn is that pretty videos will not pay the bills, but strategically crafted video assets will. So if you're a founder that's tired of burning cash on content that doesn't work, or a marketing manager that is drowning in chaos, wearing too many hats, stop. You don't need another videographer or a content person. You need a creative system. And that's what we work to implement with our clients. It's not about more content, it's about the right content. High-level creative with strategic distribution to drive predictable growth with our clients. I hope you got value out of this video. I had a ton of fun creating it, diving into the memory bank, and sharing old stories. So drop a comment of something that you learned or something you found valuable. I'll see you in the next video, because I love videos and I'm gonna keep creating them for myself, for my clients, and for the world to see. Thank you for watching.